Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is your sister Aisha here. I pray that you're all in the best health and iman. And I am so excited to be introducing the hijab series for you girls. And I hope that you enjoyed the introduction video, which is basically me reading a poem about niqab that I wrote. I hope you enjoyed it. But this series, the hijab series, I don't know how many videos I will have in the series, but it will be multiple videos just talking about different aspects of hijab. And so before you X out of the video and before you totally disregard this, what is this niqabi lady gonna be talking about, and judging and basically telling me about hijab, I just wanna let you know that this video, it won't be like any other video that you heard about hijab. At least I don't think so. This video is just me, your sister in Islam, who cares about you, who cares about your iman, who cares about your heart, speaking to your heart. This series is not a judgment on any sister at all, at all. This is literally just me talking to you, just having a discussion, because you know what? As a sister that dresses like this, I understand your fears about hijab. I understand your struggles about hijab. I understand that maybe you wish that if you don't wear hijab properly, maybe you wish that you did, but you just have so many fears, so many thoughts going through your mind. And I know that it's hard for you. And so I'm not speaking from a place of judgment. And sometimes as sisters, we only see men speaking about hijab and speaking of how we should be wearing hijab and speaking of just different things and talking about us. But at the end of the day, they don't wear hijab and they will never understand to the full extent our struggle. Of course, they can still talk about it. Of course, they have the right to speak about hijab from the point of their religion. But I'm saying, I just want to speak to you as a sister who has been on every ladder of the hijab. So to me, hijab is a ladder. Some sisters may be able to just decide one day they want to wear hijab and just jump full force into a full abaya and a big scarf and everything, and they're fine. But for a lot of sisters, I know that that is not the story. And so wherever you are on that ladder of hijab, wallahi, I've been there. I've been on every ladder. I've been on the ladder. If you're a sister right now and you don't wear hijab, I've been there. I've been a Muslim sister. I converted to Islam in 2009. I didn't start wearing the hijab until 2 years later in 2011. And so if you're a Muslim sister right now and you don't wear hijab, I've been there. And so I understand. And if you're a Muslim sister who you've decided to wear the hijab, but you wear skinny jeans and you wear a turban and you wear just regular shirts, I've been there. When I first started wearing hijab, I've been there. I used to wear just regular pants or just a tight long sleeve shirt, and I used to wrap my hijab in a Spanish bun. And so I've been there. If you're the sister right now that you wear loose pants and you wear shirts or dresses to your knees to cover your lower half, and you wear a scarf around you, I've been on that step of the ladder. If you're a sister right now and you wear skirts and tops and cardigans and your hijab, I've been there. If you're a sister who wears abaya and you wear a big scarf over your abaya, I've been there. And if you're a sister right now and you wear niqab and you wear jilbab and you wear abaya and you wear a big hijab and you wear your niqab, I've been there. And so why am I telling you this? Because I just want to let you know that I understand the struggle, okay? I understand it. And the point of me making this hijab series is because I personally, I feel such a strong thankfulness to Allah for hijab. And I'm not talking about niqab. You see me wearing niqab, but I'm not talking about niqab. I'm talking about just wearing the hijab and covering your body, covering the shape of your body and covering yourself. I feel a very strong thankfulness to Allah and a gratefulness to Allah for the ordering of hijab. And I personally feel so passionate about it. And if I could inspire another sister to feel just as passionate about it, then that would make me so happy. And so let me jump into making what are the 5 points I'll be talking about in this video. So point number 1 is that this is not a judgment. Point number 1, this is not a judgment. This video right now is not about judging any sister on any of the ladders that she's at with hijab. Number 2, the Sahaba, and how can we bring the essence of the Sahaba into the idea and the concept of hijab. Number 3, I will be talking about not staying stagnant on whatever level of hijab you're on, not staying stagnant on that level, not getting stuck on that level, and keeping a goal in mind. Number 4, I'll be talking about the connection between the body, the mind, and the soul. And number 5, I will be talking about, are we winning or are we losing right now in the 21st century and with the concept of hijab? Are we winning or are we losing? And so with that being said, let me begin. Number 1, I think I already said that, was that this video is not a judgment. So I think I already covered that. This video is not a judgment on any sister. I don't care what step of the ladder you're on. I will still be your friend. If I can connect with your heart and your mind, I'll still be your friend. It has nothing to do with your hijab in that level. So let's talk about the Sahaba, right? And so and let me just say this, I'm not a scholar. Just because I'm sitting here wearing a niqab and wearing a jilbab does not mean that I'm a scholar, a sheikha, or anything like that. I have no formal, education of Islam. This is just my personal, growth and reflections on my journey since converting to Islam and since wearing the hijab. And so this is just my reflection. When the religion of Islam first came down and the Prophet, peace be upon him, started his prophethood in Mecca, a lot of the surahs, chapters of the Quran and verses of the Quran that Allah sent down, it was more about their hereafter and strengthening the early Muslims and their belief in the unseen, in the things that are not tangible, in heaven and in hellfire and in Allah and who Allah is, his essence and who is this creator that we should be worshiping, right? And so, later on, when we go to the Medinan period after the Hijrah, when the Muslims moved to Medina and they openly were able to establish a Muslim state and a Muslim state, there's a hadith from Aisha, peace be upon her, and basically, and I'm not saying it word for word here, I don't have the hadith, this is just from my memory, that basically she said that, so basically what she said that was that when the rules then came down, and basically like when alcohol finally became banned, when Allah finally said that finally alcohol is completely haram, she said immediately the streets of Medina were flooded with alcohol, right? And so what does that have to do with hijab? The thing is that in the beginning, that they focus on strengthening their heart and their connection to the unseen, their connection with who Allah is, and that when the rules finally came down and when Allah finally ordered them to do certain things, it was like this. It was like nothing for them because their love of Allah was already strong. And I'm not saying that if you don't wear hijab, you don't have love of Allah. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that when you learn about your creator and you learn who Allah is and you learn about the reward that he has for you and you learn about how, when the Prophet struggled and they felt like, when will the help of Allah come? When you learn these things and you see how Allah have gotten them out of situations that were undescribable, when you learn about that, it does something to your heart. And that you cannot deny that. It does something to your heart. It strengthens something in your heart that, when Allah says something, then you're able to do it because you understand who he is. I'll go on to say this. Sisters who are struggling with hijab right now, a lot of the times it's not because they don't want to, it's not because you don't want to worship Allah. It's not because you don't want to listen to Allah. It's not because you don't want to abide by the rules of Allah. It's because of society. It's because you feel scared to go outside and to be fully covered and have every single person on the street looking at you. I understand that. I get that. I wear this niqab. I understand. It is hard for you to get the courage and the strength to go outside. Oh, almost had a slip. It's hard for you to go outside and to be able to bear that. And I understand that. But there's something that when you get to the point where you don't care about people anymore, when you get to a point in your heart, deep in your heart, where the only one you really care about pleasing is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is such a strong freedom. It is such a strong freedom to be able to get to that point. And that's what I want for you. I want you to get to that point where, you know what? You don't care about the stairs anymore. You're not bothered anymore. If there's one thing that practicing Islam will do for you, and by worshiping Allah, what it will do for you, it will free you from the bondage of other people. It will free you from caring so much about this creation and all the fitna that is out there. There's something about learning about Allah and studying this deen and understanding. This is what I wanted to say. For the sister who feels, why does Allah want me? Like, why did He pick us women? Why do we have to be the one in the spotlight? Why do we have to be the one covered with every eye pointing at us? Why would Allah want that for us? I want to let you know this. Allah wants goodness for you. That is what Allah wants for you. Allah does not want you to feel insecure, to feel weak, to feel scared. Allah doesn't want you to feel that way. Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, want good for you. And so I want you to keep that in mind. When you're thinking about hijab, when you're thinking about this ruling from Allah to cover, I want you to keep that in mind. Allah doesn't want harm for you. Allah doesn't want badness for you. Allah wants good for you. And so I think that is very important for me to say. Moving on. And so not staying stagnant in the hijab, right? So there's a bunch of things I want to say about this. I'll say this. When we are getting ready in the morning, right? Because body, mind, and soul. That's what I want to talk about. Body, mind, and soul. As human beings, we are made up of a physical body, a mind, intellect, and a soul, the unseen. And so all three of these things need to be balanced so that we may feel, complete sense of peace and happiness. And when you study Islam and you read the Quran and you study the rules and the regulations, the halal and the haram that Allah has placed upon us, you will see an intense love that Allah has for us. Hear me again. When you read about the rulings, about forbidden things, what Allah tells us to stay away from, and what He tells us is okay to do, and these rules and these regulations, you will see that the one who created us has nothing but intense love for us and wants good for us. And Islam came to protect this body, mind, and soul, and these things, to keep it balanced, right? And so things don't go overbalanced. Why am I mentioning this? So when we get ready in the morning, when we wear our hijab, I feel like a lot of the times the spirituality of hijab is lost. I feel like we don't have that anymore. And this is why I say this, just from my observation. When we're getting ready to go out, when we're putting all this makeup on, when we're putting on our outfit and we're thinking, oh, my hijab is going to be fleek today. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, okay, from what I've seen. When we're thinking like this, oh, I want my hijab to be on fleek. Oh, I want to look fly. Oh, I'm wearing hijab, but I'm still a boss. Oh, I'm wearing hijab, but I'm fashionable. Are you thinking that, oh, my hijab is an act of worship? This is just a question. Because I feel like these mindset of trying to be fashionable, trying to tell people that, oh, I wear the hijab and I'm Muslim and I cover, but I'm still a part of this fashion. I still can fit in with you. I can still do whatever it is that you're doing. It doesn't feed the spiritual self in a good way. It kind of leads us to arrogance. And I say this because even in our, what fashion does, subhanAllah, is that fashion, in a sense, like when I'm talking about before, when I wasn't Muslim, wearing fashion and stuff, it's always like, well, who's dressed better and who's wearing the most expensive thing, right? And it's very materialistic. And when I found Islam and I found hijab, I loved it because I said, wow, Allah removed us from this materialistic, who's dressed better, who looks better thing. But what we've done, what we've done as Muslim women is that we've brought that materialism into the hijab. And so now you have on college campuses, you have sisters that won't sit with other sisters because her hijab's not on fleek like mine. She looks like an old lady and I look put together and I roll with this crowd of people that expect me to look this way. And so we've brung that materialism and this hierarchy and this competition of fashion and looking good into the hijab, but not in a very productive manner, not in a good way. And so I'm saying the spirituality, connecting, using your hijab to connect to Allah, I question if it's still there. And yes, I'm not saying that you cannot look good. I'm not saying that you cannot look nice. I'm not saying that you can't wear color. Wallahi, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you can't look presentable. A Muslim should look neat and presentable, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there is a line. And many people, we'll get into that in the series, many people would tell you that there is no line because there is no hijab even in the Quran. But there is a line. Inshallah, we'll get into that. So I don't want to give you guys too much because I do want this to be a series. This is just food for thought. It's just something to think about. So body, mind, and soul. Because, once your hijab becomes something that is just like putting on a pair of socks, once it comes to that, it's just autopilot. You wear hijab, you put it on, you wear the turban, you wear whatever style or form of hijab that you wear. Even if you wear niqab and it became autopilot, and it just becomes like, oh, I put on my niqab, like I put on my socks and I go out the door. It's very dangerous because you lose the essence of why you're wearing it. You turn the modesty into another robotic ritual, And these rituals or these guidelines were never meant to become robotic. They were meant to feed your soul and to feed your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My last point, are we winning or losing? And so, again, I say all of this without judgment. This is just observation. This is just reflection, okay? When we have sisters now that are in many different fields. Alhamdulillah, that's great. We need Muslims in the media. We need Muslims at the forefront of different places. I get that. But we have sisters that are, let's just say, in the fields of fashion at the forefront, at the fields of journalism at the forefront, and in different fields, right? But from what I've seen, none of them wear hijab properly, let's just say. And by properly, this is what I'm saying. When I converted to Islam, when I came into Islam, I never heard any lecture about, okay, you're wearing color, you shouldn't be wearing color. There was like a basis of like, okay, you can show your hands and your feet, but not your neck, and everything else should be covered. Your body shape should be covered. It shouldn't be see-through. Nowadays, I feel like all of that has gone out the window. And again, I understand that if you're on a step ladder and you're stepping up, but we can't stay stagnant on that. And I feel like when we're looking at fashion and we're in this industry, it can easily get lost what the end goal should be. And you can easily get lost and stop working towards moving up the ladder. You get stagnant because it feels good, because people are accepting it, because you're in the limelight, but you're not in the limelight, if you get what I'm saying, right? And so I'm just saying that there's a danger of staying stagnant in your level of hijab and your level of modesty. And even if you're on a level where you know that it's not proper hijab, that's fine. You know that it's not proper hijab, but you're working. You know what you're going to aim for. You know that one day you'll get there. It could take you years, but you know where you want to go. Alhamdulillah, I'll say. Alhamdulillah. But if you're there and you've forgotten that there is more up the ladder and you never reach there, that is a problem. But what I'm saying, going back to sisters in, different limelight, right? And so many sisters that I see that are in these fields, journalism, fashion, or whatever it is, the hijab is not worn properly, right? And everyone is like, I'm saying like skinny jeans, everything showing. Like there's no difference at all between, what non-Muslim women are wearing and what the Muslim woman is wearing. The only difference is she's covering her hair. And so everyone claps. Yes, we're winning. We have a hijabi on the front cover of this. We have a hijabi in this field, and that's never been done before. We have a hijabi here, and everyone's like, yes, that's great. Do you? My problem with that is, and everyone's like, we're winning, right? But are we winning if we had to change our religion to be accepted? That cannot be considered winning. And so that is my issue with the whole. I understand, sister, if you're struggling with hijab, wallahi, I understand it. But I have a problem if we say that this is what hijab is. That is a problem. If you say that this is not hijab, and I know that I'm not wearing it properly, but I'm working on it, it's something I'm working towards, that's a different story. But when we come to social media and we come to Instagram and come to YouTube, there's a more of flaunting the fact that we're not wearing it properly. That's, again, it's another issue that we as sisters, as a community, need to work on. And so I'm not judging you because I won't clap for you and say, yeah, do you, that's great. It's not a judgment, but I cannot say that we're winning as sisters because we're in front of a magazine or we got put on a show for conforming to what makes other people comfortable, because that's not winning. If I had to, they did not accept us for who we are as Muslim women. They did not accept us for who we are, like how Allah says that we should dress. They only accepted us after we changed what Allah commanded. And so that's not winning. And that will never be winning. And so I want us to rethink what is winning. And now many will argue that, okay, well, it's a step in the right direction. We need to get our foot through the door. And so we need to change a little bit to get our foot through the door. I say we don't need to put our foot through the door. We need to get a whole new door and create our own, our own thing. If they won't accept us for how it is that we should be, according to how Allah said it should be, then we need to create a whole new door, a whole new circle, a whole new opportunity. That's what we need to do. And so I'll leave it here. Wallahi, 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 sisters, I hope that none of you have taken anything that I said as a judgment or an attack on you, because it's not. It's not. I'm not judging. Like I said, we're all on a ladder, and I just feel like we need to discuss it. How can we grow? How can we grow as Muslim women, as a community, if we're not discussing these issues? And so I hope you stay tuned for the hijab series. I will be talking about niqab. A lot of sisters ask me, is that even in the religion? A lot of people comment and tell me, well, you're just wearing some cultural thing. Okay, we'll talk about niqab. Is hijab a cultural thing? We'll talk about that. And I'll be answering, because on Instagram I did a poll and I got so many questions. Thank you guys, like all you girls who sent all of your answers. I basically asked, like, what is it that you as a hijabi struggle with the most, or even as a non-hijabi? Like, what do you struggle most with the concept of hijab? And if you wear hijab, what is your biggest struggle? And so I have so many, maybe like 40 reasons that girls struggle with hijab. And so I will be doing, basically question and answers, and inshallah helping you and inspiring you and strengthening you in your hijab journey. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't forget to subscribe, like, click the notification bell, and share the video. Thank you.